Ya, mi día de trabajo destruida, ya. Completo destruida. Día de descanso, no hay trabajo. Qué malo. So I don't use tape anymore. I just sort of wrap it around the piece of deck. I find that the piece of deck is a perfect shape. You can pour as much foam as you can handle, and then you can just put the piece of deck on, and it seems to be a perfect fit.
So we can't come all the way to the end?
No.
But there's enough left?
Probably. These little spaces are very small.
Yeah.
So I would assume that there's probably enough left. But what can we put in there if there isn't enough foam for it?
I don't know.
Well,
I could put something. If this is the end of it, you know, it's like it's pointless trying another load of this stuff. Can you pass me that mixing stick?
yeah. So I'm not going to videotape us doing the foam because I can't hold the phone at the same time. So I already got one video that was like a subtle video of us doing the foam.
You want me to pour it in here first?
And another video. No, only down here. And I'll pour it. And I already got another video of us pouring the foam on another YouTube video. So there's no point in videotaping this. Oh, okay, so I've done the wood now on this side. Is this the starboard side? Pretty sure. Yeah, this is the starboard side. So, and we're moving along with it, moving along. Unfortunately, I found these screws. And I showed this in the last portion of the little clip I did. And they're very annoying to put these pieces of wood around. But it'll be finished soon. It'll be a little slower of a process. You can see the line of screws here. It starts to go under right there. It ends up underneath this portion of the deck, which is not good. Probably damaged the blade on the saw, not realizing that it was there. Very expensive blades for the little saw that I use. It's not a skill saw, it's a different type of saw, but they're very expensive blades. But anyways, so I gotta do this side. Only partly done this side. And then this side is it's underway. Maybe tonight I'll put the foam in. See how far it's going off. It's still like jelly. It's like grape jam. Still got a little ways to go. Might have to wait until the morning. Put the foam in. Try to move ahead as quick as possible with all this. Alright, so no. Oh, I didn't want to lose that. Well, anyways, so this is a special situation because it's got railings here. It's got a hole in each one. I gotta get it relatively dead center, and then I have to mark each one with the according sort of placement, and I believe that these are in their correct placement. Not that I can really see these anyways because they're quite tight in there. So each one gets an according drawing. That one's relatively center also. I'm not gonna lie, boat work in this fashion is actually very appeasing compared to other types of work. I've done a lot of different types of work And this one is by far like the most sort of appeasing one. Okay, so that one is not quite center there. We're going to put an X on that and make another drawing. So this one is center. Don't like to crap up my Sharpie. You're drawing dust and for some reason it craps up your Sharpie. But that's, you know, everybody has different opinions of what to do with their Sharpies, what they feel is appropriate to do to their Sharpies. Whoa, where are you going? So if you notice that I'm trying to move them all because each one is slightly off center from the hole, and it's good to make sure that they are on center before I do whatever I need to do. The other thing that I'll be doing is to go around and label each one, because each one is a slightly different size than each other. Like down here it was 9 at the very beginning, and then it was 9 1/4, and then it was 9 1/2, and then it was 9 3/4, and then it was 10, and then it was 10 1/4. Well, actually it was 10 again. Like there's 10 again. But anyways, like it goes all the way down until it reaches 10 1/2. So every one is a slight sort of different measurement. So in that type of a circumstance, which it doesn't happen every time that they're a slightly different size, but most times it happens that they're mostly all a different size, and you can see the difference in sizes sometimes depending on what kind of cuts that you do. So like I cut out like sort of a rectangle that goes diagonal a bit. And I had a different approach to this in the beginning. Oh, there's no hole there? Oh my god. I don't believe that. Wow, there is no hole there. Alright, so get that as close to there as possible. And draw that in. That's good. I'm gonna do it like that.
How on earth did you get the other side off so quickly?
It was easier. The bolts were less corroded.
That looks really good, Cameron.
Yeah, it should be fine, I think.
You should take a photograph
For Peg, yeah. Well, I take these videos and I post them on YouTube. You know, because if me and Priscilla sort of actually do substantial traveling, it would be nice for other people to see it too.
Yeah.
Like to see the boat restoration in the beginning and stuff, so I try to put videos of everything together, but I still don't understand how to look up the YouTube page exactly. But I know it's on there, the videos are on there, so you could give her the YouTube address and she could see all the videos, you know?
Yeah.
Could do it that way. So, alright. So the last thing here is to give it to me. Yeah. There we go. One. And I put an arrow. And I put stern. I always do this.
Yeah, it looks good, Cameron.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, I mean, it sort of looks like an 8. But anyways, you get the point. So now I gotta clean it out so that the polyester resin makes a good adhesion. I've done this before on all the other videos that I showed, so you should be well aware of my techniques. Alright, so that's clean now, and I don't remember which Sharpie was the good one, but that's definitely not the good one. Sometimes you just gotta redo the lines a little bit, and another thing is that when you put the polyester resin on, it like dissolves the marker ink. So, not that that's too important, it's kind of self-explanatory, you don't really need markings. It's better to have markings when you paint the polyester. When it doesn't have bolt holes, like I did them here, you can sort of see, and that's because you want your spacing right, you don't want to waste polyester resin. You have to sort of laminate a strip, then you put your plank in, paint the back of your plank too, and you put the plank in. So. Alright, so I ripped out the rotten wood, took off the rail, aluminum. Surprisingly, it's actually aluminum, but I guess it's not too surprising because it's like it was a racing boat in its time. Apparently it was a racing boat. Still don't believe it, it's like a really slow boat. But anyways, I took it out, and I just peeled out some of the balsa wood. It's pretty bad, actually. I mean, this stuff was so bad. The whole deck is like saturated completely with water. I'm still trying to figure out where maybe that this water comes from in the deck. It might come from this. Possible that it comes from this. Could be coming from a window. Don't feel any bedding compound on the bottom part, but that shouldn't be that big of a problem. But I mean, it's darker here, black here. You know, maybe it's coming in from there, or maybe simply enough, because this was really messed up along here, along this edge, and the water seems to sit in the corners of these things. And I was thinking, I mean, this is like a really weird idea, but maybe I would actually drill some holes and make scuppers along the side, just so that the water like doesn't stay in there, because it's just not good that the water stays in there. You know, anyways though, like, I think that it might probably be from this spot here, and maybe the water comes down and like came down through the sides here. I don't know. I'm wondering, like, personally, I'm wondering, why is the deck so screwed up? Why did it ever even happen? Must have had a lot of rain. Wherever this boat was, they must have had a lot of rain for a really long time, because it just doesn't make any sense why or how, like, a really small little pinhole or whatever could bring in this much water if it wasn't raining, and literally having a pool of water on top of the hole, pinhole or whatever, screw hole. But yep, that's So I'm doing this one today. I put the foam in that one. Still putting the foam in that one. This one is kind of a thing that I noticed, which if you ever do a deck repair, specifically probably on a boat like this, probably not some other boat because every boat's different, but I noticed that there is a space that gets left over here. Now, what I noticed is that you have to sort of measure the crevice that's there before you put the slat in, because the slat might be bigger, and it might raise the deck a little bit, the slat, plus the debris underneath might cause a wedge effect and it might raise it as well. But if it is the same measurement as before you put the slat in, that's the important part about measuring it. You can use a pen, and a piece of wood sometimes is better than a tape measure, because the fine measurements in a tape measure are a little bit difficult to see, whereas using a piece of wood and a pen and a straight edge, like another piece of wood that has a straight edge to it, and just marking each area to show you what is the actual depth. Because when you put the piece of deck back in, if you try to press it down like I did over here, I used an anvil and a whole bunch of weights and I pressed it down, and then you can't really see it all that well, but it's like it caused me to have to sort of actually dig out a chunk of the deck that was probably not a wise thing to dig out, because it made it uneven. It actually made it furtherly uneven than it was originally. So sometimes it's actually just better to leave the angle there. I mean, you can't really see it on the camera. You can here, maybe you can see it on the camera a little bit, but there's a gutter. The gutter goes down the boat. And the deck, don't think you can see it on the camera. Maybe you can, but there's an arch here. It actually creates an arch. The deck has a natural arch to it and creates a gutter effect. Now that is important, actually. It's not super important, but it has a subtle importance. Now, if I was to take that arch away, it would probably look a little weird, because honestly, it looks nice having that arch. The looks are not everything. It's just when I put the pieces of wood back in, I find that if I want to sort of feather it easily and not grind too much away for refeathering, I just keep this space exactly the same and don't put extra weights on it. So now I've got my fiberglass resin in, polyester resin in, and now it's time to just put some weights on it to press them down. You might notice it sort of smush out a little bit, maybe not. It's not enough weight anyways. But I'm gonna have to get some extra weights out here. Maybe I think there's a weight under here. Yeah, there we go. Just gonna put that on there. Smushed out a little bit. Starting to go even. Put another one down. I don't think this one's gonna work really, to be honest. It's just too wide for the space. So sometimes I come and I use a piece of wood to distribute the weight. Then I stack a bunch of weights on top of the piece of wood. I don't have a piece of wood here that's the right size that I want. It's like either way, whatever I use is only going to cover 2 wood spots. I wanted to use a brick. I was thinking about using a brick again. I used the brick a few times. So it's like a tough space with the weights that I have left there. Anyways. So well, there's a nice piece of wood down there. Let me go and get that. Alright, so just gonna put it down. Yeah, that's so much better. This one doesn't even need a weight. Completely forgot. I did this one yesterday. I had spare polyester resin and I wanted to just use it. So gonna put the 10-pound on there. Oh yeah, you can see it there. Maybe not on the camera, maybe you can't see it, I don't know. It's smushing out a little bit there. So I don't know if my viewers or anybody who sees this knows about what a fulcrum is. Fulcrum is the central balance point, and I want to try and tip that balance point a little bit, get the weight distribution on these two beams, because this one is already glued in, so but I want to keep it even. I want to keep the weight displacement even. If I push it too far, it may take the weight off the central one even. So I'm going through a debate right now. Do I want to use this weight for this one or this one? You know, at this one, number 11, it was a tough spot because the wood, oddly enough, the wood down here is actually still good. Even right there, the wood is still fresh and good wood. So I didn't take it out, which is not really a good thing to do. I should really take it out, but I didn't. But I coated everything in fiberglass resin. I actually pulled the deck up slightly with a crowbar, flipped it up there, and I let fiberglass resin leak in. I actually pushed it in with the paintbrush, made sure it leaked in a bit. And then I got it from this side too, just to make sure the ends and tips were completed, which is not really important because the foam sort of coats everything quite well. But number 11 is loose. So because of its loose nature, that the wood actually comes to the edge here, as much of the live wood that I could still remove, I'm going to put an extra thing on it because the deck didn't smush it down tight. Ah, that seems good. That seems good. Okay, that's it for my video today. Gotta go to my second job now. So, that's today's work. I set the beams in with polyester resin, or the slats, I guess I should say slats. And I'm not finished with this part, so. Something I noticed keeps happening. Don't know if you can see it there, there's a small gap under that plank. But, actually a small gap under a few of those planks, mostly all of them. On this side, it's not too bad, but on this side, it seems to remain the same, and I can't fix it. And the reason for that is because this is actually slightly bigger of a gap than the slats that I'm using, which is not really a problem because the foam will fill it in. But also another thing is that the deck has a natural slope to it, so the deck doesn't, like in this area, it doesn't sort of come flat like the slats are flat. So I'm going to end up with a gap in it, just a little gap. It should be fine. It'll come clean when I put the foam in. This area came clean. It's very nice. Same with the cabin top. That came clean too. Looks really good. Next, I'm going to take out the rail. It's a bit of an extra bit of work because I have to take out the bolts from underneath the rail. Undo the nuts underneath. But that's not too much of a problem. You can't see it, but I put an extra slat under here. I didn't want it to be that big of a foam space between this gap and that gap. So I put an extra slat under there. though it's not really mandatory because the deck is really thick and it makes most of the support, actually, to be honest. You know, if the deck goes rotten, the balsa wood goes rotten underneath and it still feels firm, that's because the top fiberglass is so thick. So, alright, so did it again. This part here, I just finished drying or whatever, and it is unimaginably perfectly level. It feels unequivocal to all other foam spots. It feels fantastic, and it is so dense, except for right there. This one's a little bit squishy. You hear that? That's a different sound completely too. That's the wood. That is fucking hard, dude. It is so hard. That is awesome. I don't know what I did special on this one, but it came out so good. So good. Alright. Put it in there so you can see it. And it came out very even too. We used little spacers on this one. Little like 1/16 of an inch spacers. Make it come out really nice and even, as perfect to the deck as possible. And I think I explained it before that over there I used a giant anvil and a whole bunch of weights to press down the side of the boat to get it even with the fiberglass, thus partially taking away the gutter effect, which was an ignorant move on my part. I didn't really realize that it was that important, but I can use the fairing compound to bring it back a little bit. But this one, unequivocal, fits so good. Oh yeah, I'm satisfied with that. I'm so satisfied with that. So on this one, let's check this one out, please. I just I removed a rail off for the jib. It looks pretty bad under there. There was no caulking left at all. It was horrible looking. And its bow is there. You might be able to see it, maybe not. It's what originally took my sort of interest in removing that. Very difficult to remove because the nuts, they're on these bolts inside of the cabinet beneath the boat, and it is like a really tiny cabinet in there. You can just like not even move a pair of vice grips inside the cabinet, so very difficult. Peel that off. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Feels great. Coming along beautifully. Gonna peel this part up just so we can take a look at the other area. this is where I overcompensated, crushed down the side of the boat here. You can't really see it too well maybe in the camera, but there is a slight gutter effect. And I took that away here, unfortunately, by crushing this down. I crushed this down, I put a heavy plank of wood on there and specifically crushed it down. And it cannot be built up with fairing compound again, unfortunately. But it's not too much of a worry, honestly. If a wave comes over the boat, where's it going to go? It's not going to just magically go into the gutter. It's going to go over the cabin. It's going to go over everywhere else. And then it's eventually going to go into the gutters and very slowly move towards the gutters. So that's not going to change very much. And you can hardly see it as well. In fact, if you can't see that on the camera, if you can't see the gutter effect on the camera, then it definitely doesn't matter for a visual aspect. Because I can't even see it really. I can just barely notice it. So I'm satisfied with that then. And I think that's really the point, isn't it? The boat owner is satisfied with the boat. Because I'm like sort of like a perfectionist, you know? And if things don't come out like really perfect, I just like keep doing them. Sometimes I'll just make an entirely new project if it's not perfect, but I've come to accept that in order to achieve perfection, you have to be unperfect with certain things. You have to be flexible. So the next video that I make, I'm going to go through the process here, but I'm not going to videotape it. I'm going to go through the process of polyester resin, grinding it open, and relaying and feathering the fiberglass in the same. The next video I'm going to do over there, and on the same side, same section of the deck on the other side of the boat. So that'll be the next video that I do. And then after that, we'll do the fairing compound, and I can show you maybe a video of that. And then maybe after that I'll do the windows. There's a few other things that I have to do. I have to do chain plates too. So I started the port side deck, and you can see here it's actually still good wood. Can't take it off. Difficult to take it off. And I'm strapped for time today because I have to go to my second job soon. So that'll be my short video for today. And whenever I get the chance to do more work on it, I'll make another video. Or I'll attach it in with this one.